Should I go ahead and get started, Bricktop, or wait for Quoq to get on here?
Sure, hopefully by the time you've finished, he might be with us by then. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So.
All right. Welcome everybody to another special edition of Community DAO Twitter Space. This week's topic is to discuss safety when interacting with the blockchain. We're glad to have you all here. Just to tell you briefly about the Community DAO, it is a DAO that represents the entirety of the Harmony community. The Harmony Community DAO mandates are as follows. These mandates serve as the ultimate role for the Harmony Community DAO. The first is growth, to onboard users on missions and culture, and to pollinate values across communities. The second is engagement, to amplify content of roadmap and milestones and create creative campaigns of products. The third is diversity, to solicit voices and votes in forums and to reinforce strong governance participation. The purpose of these Twitter spaces is to inform the community of activities surrounding the DAO and the Harmony ecosystem, provide updates to the Harmony roadmap, and announce upcoming events and new developments within the community. But most importantly, these spaces are an opportunity for you, the community, to ask questions and provide opinions on any number of subjects that you feel fall within our mandates. We're happy to be joined again by by Jack from the core team, as well as some contributors. And if everyone would like to stay at the end after our Q&A session, I will give a brief overview of some things going on in and around the DAO. But for right now, I would like to pass things on to my co-host here, Bricktop.
Hey guys, and thank you everyone for coming today. Just before we kick off, I'd just like to give you a reminder, we host these Twitter spaces every Friday at 11 a.m. PST. So you're always free to come and join the conversation and get involved. So let's get started. Today we're lucky enough to have Elias, Aaron, Quoq, and Jack with us today. So welcome guys, and thank you for coming to speak with us today.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. So today we'll be discussing wallet security, desktop, mobile, and hardware wallets, source of recent wallet hacks, ongoing investigations, one wallet security tech, and technical discussions with white hat hackers. So if I can ask you to introduce yourselves, can we start with Elias?
Hey everyone, my name is Elias. I am currently a contributor to Harmony. It's a bit about my background. I'm currently in school for cybersecurity with the Science Technology Institute, and prior to that, I was a project manager in construction, and I'm, pivoting fields to follow my passions, which is in the information security space.
Fantastic. And Aaron?
Hey guys, I'm Aaron Lee. At Harmony, I build the One Wallet core and web edition. I also run several other projects, but I'll leave the mic to Jack and Quoq.
Yeah, and Quoq, if you can introduce yourself.
Yes, I've been in the crypto space for 4 years now. Was ex-founder of a DeFi company. I'm a Harmony core contributor. I mainly work around security, wallets. The wallet I built is Ceph Wallet. Mainly work on security. I also work on cross-chain security as well.
Brilliant. And Jack?
Hi guys, I'm Jack. I help at Harmony with on several fronts, grants, partnerships, and some cloud engineering work, and also contributing into the cybersecurity front, helping us coordinate and tackle some of the things that have been coming up in the security space. So yes.
Thank you, everyone. So I just wanted to mention, due to the importance of some of the issues that we're going to be discussing today, we'd like to keep the floor open as possible for all the speakers that we have up, in case you have anything relevant to add. We've had a lot of questions added from the community, so anyone that feels like they can answer that, just feel free to step in there. So let's get started. So many of you know, and our community knows, malicious parties in blockchain space are constantly trying to kind of evolve their methods in using exploits to gain access to people's assets, and it's we always have to try and keep ourselves safe. Could anyone, just before we get started, kind of explain the difference of wallet security between different devices such as mobiles and desktop, and cold storage, for our community?
Yeah, let me take this question, and feel free to add later if you guys have other thoughts. So we spent a lot of time looking at these Chrome wallet extensions and on how they're built all the way to the core, and so many of these wallets are built roughly the same way, but when they're running on desktop or mobile, or if you're using a hardware wallet, it's completely different. So let me kind of break it down. On the desktop, one application can read another application files. So that's considered isolate. There's no isolation, right? So what that means is a malware or even a legitimate program can read your Chrome local storage, and they can take that key store and break into your key store because it's protected by a password. So they'll just brute force that. On a mobile wallet, you have better isolations. Apple and Play Store does a pretty good job at verifying application that gets installed. And once they're installed, there are operating system application isolation. So one application can't read another. So your key is somewhat more protected on mobile than a desktop computer. And also on your phone, you also have biometric security that can do a pretty good job at automating that security. On a hardware wallet, that's just like it takes isolation to another level, where your key is generated on your device, and and the whole signing process happens on your device. So there's no leakage, or the private key never leaves the device. That's what makes it so secure. And as you go up to mobile, just summarize again, as you go back to mobile, there's some isolation. On desktop, there's literally no isolation. So it's you have to be really careful with your wallet and your desktop.
Perfect. So yeah, as some of the community members know, we've seen a few videos recently and a few posts of members of our community being affected by exploits. Can someone explain to me what's been happening, if anyone's aware here?
Yeah, I can take this question. So I've seen a lot of SAP reports specifically to the Harmony Chrome extension wallet, or somebody use the Chrome extension wallet. So other than this, in the broader community, in the broader crypto community, there have been many people who are hacked because they use Metamask, or they are hacked in some other way, such as they approve somebody else to use their ERC20 tokens or NFTs. The issue is, as I've written before, the issue is the browser isn't safe. It is very vulnerable. The browser itself suffers vulnerabilities, usually sometimes before those guys who designed the browser discover them and patch them. And last year there were 16 times when So vulnerabilities were already discovered. Some compromised websites were already using this vulnerability to steal password and of course crypto, and which led to the loss of asset. There were 16 times when somebody else already discovered it and hacked around before Chrome or Google patched it. So this year there were one major incident, like I think in March. So when these things happen, the attacker could steal those private keys stored in the browser by the extension. There are different extensions have different level of encryption and strengths of encryption. And some networks are more targeted than the others. And the thing is, you don't really know when your key is compromised. It could happen a year ago, could happen 6 months ago, and the attacker simply thought, "Oh, it's worth waiting for a while until this guy gets more money. Then we steal it all at once." Harmony, of course, was doing very well, especially for the second half of last year, especially Q4, and also Q1 as well. So when the market is doing well and people use the wallet more often, it brought more attention to the attacker. And when they think it's a good opportunity to take action, that's when we see the reports coming in, and when the victims notice they got hacked. But that's already the end of the story. That could be months after, or even a year after the actual hack happened.
Thank you for clearing that up, Aaron. So we have received a lot of questions from the community, so I'm just going to get straight into them. So someone mentioned they was aware that there was investigations in January regarding a potential hack, and Harmony had mentioned in a post that they was investigating and looking into this. Have there been any updates with kind of investigations on finding any kind of malicious parties?
I can take that. So we've seen a lot of hacks in multiple different chains, and on Harmony, we did notice that there were some uptick in activities around reports to our security channels about potential hacks or alleged victims, mentioning that they weren't interacting with their wallets, but notice a movement in funds or undelegations. Due to that, we did a lot of investigations behind the scenes and tried to see whether these were legitimate complaints, right? Because it's really difficult to confirm whether someone is actually a victim or whether they're trying to game the situation around moving the funds elsewhere and then claiming as a victim. So we had to do a lot of deep dives, even running KYCs and requesting for police reports and whatnot. Because like Aaron mentioned earlier, your wallet could be compromised at some point in time, maybe months ago, and they could be these hackers could be sleeping dormant with your private keys. Let's say you have visited a website that asks you to take a certain actions, and you thought they were legitimate actions to say approve something or say send a test transaction, but then the website stopped working. So there could be things like that you inadvertently have took an action to approve on your, say, Chrome wallet extension, whether it's Metamask or any other wallets, and then especially the Chrome wallet extension that Harmony was built some time ago. So as you were doing those actions, you could have been compromised. The best practices that we do recommend is to always rotate your keys and not to have too much tokens or value in one hot wallet at any one point in time. That reduces the attack exposure on your ownership of the tokens that you have. But yes, we did go through and run a lot of investigations on those. We created a whole process behind it, staffed up a team behind it to run these investigations, and also spent a small fortune actually to hire the right partners to help with forensics investigations, whether it's on the Harmony chain or off chain in Ethereum, in case the alleged victims complain about their wallets being compromised and their tokens being transferred and bridged out, say, to Ethereum. So yes, we have done the due diligence that we were looking for, and throughout all of these investigations, and we even put out a bounty mentioning like, hey, if anybody knows of any one of these exposures, please let us know. We're happy to provide a bounty, a very, very healthy bounty, by the way, if they approached us. But so far, we haven't heard from anyone that have proactively approached us about the vulnerabilities and the complaints. So yeah, I hope I've answered your question on that, or the community member's question. Anybody else want to jump in and add anything? Please do.
Oh yes, I should add that we so this investigation has led to several reports which we already shared with law enforcement since December last year, and some of the reports, I think all of the report, after redacting the sensitive information such as victim profiles, we will be making them public, and we are just in the middle of reviewing these reports, and when they're ready to be released, everybody can see what steps they've been taken, and the vulnerabilities or security issues that we found that were an issue but doesn't really that wasn't serious enough to lead directly to reproducing an attack. So we patched all these issues, and there will be at least like 4 or 5 reports, I think 6, 7. That's every speaker here were part of that, and that will show things like the amount stolen and the kind of like methodology we use and why we think this vulnerability could lead to for example, a certain vulnerability to make it easier for hackers to access, but it also depends on like, the victim visiting a compromised website. It will be very detailed.
So the next question is a really, really great question, albeit a difficult question. So someone mentioned with some people's private keys, being vulnerable, that could potentially lead to other wallets on different browser wallets because they share the same private keys. So they've also kind of shone light on the concern for some validators within the community, and also people delegating with them. And some people are concerned, as we've said, their wallet could have been compromised in the past, but they're not currently aware of it. Should there be any actions from the community in changing wallets? I know we don't want to think about people having to like undelegate and validators having to switch wallets, but are people safe from this, or are there still vulnerabilities that could be could be in the background due to the the exploits previous to now?
I'll kind of speak to some of the pitfall of having a private key. We when we generate these private keys, we may have used it for a very long time, put in a few wallets, and every wallet that we put in, we that increased that exposure of our security. And at some point, we may even copy and paste that to like a notepad or Google Drive or Gmail. So over time, we sort of leave this long trail, which completely tied to all of our assets. And we probably do our best to keep it secret, but the challenge with a private key is because it's on chain and you're signing that key from your local machine and you submit it to the blockchain. That security is great and all. Like the signature, like the key is very powerful. You can sign it, makes the blockchain safe. But what's not safe is if your key was exposed at any point in time, you wouldn't even know it. You wouldn't know your key is compromised. So I think it's a good security practice if you've been using that key for a long time and you know it, and just taking consideration there's a rising a trend of hacks. I think it's a good practice to rotate your key into a new key. Just generate a brand new key from scratch and move that over. Or even better, just spread it out across multiple wallets. So that sort of spread out your risk and exposure. I think that's if there's one takeaway, it's the pitfall of the key, right? When you lose that key, when the key is compromised, you wouldn't know it at all. So the only way to be safe is to rotate it. If you were using a hardware wallet, for example, and the only copy you have is a piece of paper that you hide it somewhere. That kind of limit your exposure. Like you don't have the key to paste in the Metamask wallet. It's actually having hardware wallet actually is even better practice because you don't even have access to the key itself. But if you're using a desktop, then there's a lot of pitfalls you can get into, and I strongly recommend rotating those keys, even if you have to lose 14 days of staking time.
Most definitely, Quoq made a good point. But I'd like to add to that around addressing the concerns from the validator and node operator's perspective. Many validators may be concerned that if folks are rotating their keys, that means they'll have to hit for the 30% that have the tokens that have 35, 40% maybe that have delegated to validators, they will have to undelegate in order to then transfer it over to a different wallet. This is a one-time thing. We're just hitting the reset button, right? For those that have delegated for so long, what's the likelihood for them to undelegate and not redelegate again? And also, delegating to validators does two things. One, it secures the chain even further by delegating it to validators that have been running really legitimate and up-to-date code and fast and efficient operations. Two, delegating your tokens actually is a secondary lock on your one tokens. So if your wallet is compromised, and if there's a service out there that watches your wallet, if you didn't undelegate and some hacker gets a hold of your private key, the only way for them to get your tokens is first to undelegate, and that buys you time. So there's a huge incentive now for people that are made aware that they need to rotate their keys, is that once they complete their undelegations, I bet you they'll be watching the timer. And as the timer clocks down, they'll send it to their new wallet and they'll immediately redelegate again into the validators that they trust. So I have very high confidence that for folks that are very diligent in rotating their keys, and if they already delegated for a long time, they don't want to lose the token inflation rewards that comes with delegation. They're just going to do that. The alternative options are going into liquid staking, right? So that also gives them an opportunity to join the liquid staking pools and then have a DAO to manage the liquid staking profile to then delegate to healthy operators. So I think it's a good reset button. Rip off the band-aid once, and then a couple of years later, do it again, so that you're sure that your wallet is secure. And if in case you did some silly clicks in some websites that you're unaware of, and you didn't bookmark the smart contracts in Metamask, for example. By the way, there's a way for you to add a nickname for any transactions that you do, so that when you go back to it, say you go to any dApps, any GameFis, I won't name any one of them, but I'm pretty sure you guys know all of them. And then you approve, you can actually add a nickname and say, hey, I've done this action 30 times, and this 31st time, when I try to do this, it's a different smart contract. Maybe the website has been compromised in my area. Maybe the DNS spoofing or something, or they switched it to another website. It looks exactly the same, but the smart contracts are different. Did they upgrade it, or is the website different? So there are things that you can do around that as well. Sorry, I digress a little bit, but I just want to make sure that we address the concern about the validator's perspective. Thanks.
If I may, I have a couple follow-up questions. I'll ask the first one. Let's say someone is staking their one, and they notice someone undelegated their tokens, and it's waiting to be returned to the wallet. Odds are that hacker that undelegated those tokens is waiting for the countdown to end. Is there anything someone in that situation can do to shield their coins so that they don't ultimately end up in the incorrect wallet?
Yes, there is. In the protocol today, there's a way for you to redelegate it back into any validators that you want. This is a feature called redelegation, and it can only be done one time per epoch, I believe. So, or more like an epoch cycle. So if you see that in your wallet and other delegation happening, and the countdown starts, you can easily go back using the same wallet that you own and hit the delegation button to delegate to validators that you trust.
Okay, sorry, one quick follow-up to that one. If let's say you do notice that, then obviously your wallet may be compromised. Is there an option to work with anybody in the community to get those coins safely to another wallet?
We suggest you contact Harmony through security@harmony.one, and if you see that happening, there will be time that you buy when you would have bought time if you redelegate it back in, because you can't undelegate back out again for like another epoch. But yeah, we would advise that you contact Harmony at security@harmony.one. Other options are available, but that might require you to give up your wallet key phrase or mnemonics to a third party, it's really up to you to help to do that, and whether you guys trust the third party to help you with that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Then I had the second follow up that I initially meant to ask. For validator wallets specifically, if a validator wallet has been connected to the Chrome extension, and what are the what are any concerns that might arise if say the validator wallet should somehow get compromised? What would need to be done then? It's my understanding that the delegator's coins would be safe, but to protect the validator, what should be done?
That is currently at a protocol level. There are some other chains that have implemented a key rotation mechanism. At Harmony, we have not done that yet. Some other chains also have a way to rotate or reassign the rewards earned to a different wallet. But that doesn't resolve the key question that you have. It's generally bad practice to put a validator wallet onto a hot wallet, because that is the key that manages the validator. So first off, to current validators or future validators out there, please do not put your validator keys into, even through the CLI, command line interface, into a server or whatnot. You should always keep it offline. It is a bit of a hassle to withdraw rewards, having to connect the hardware wallet, or having to pull out your mnemonics and use a CLI every single time. But that's the safest way. But yeah, right now it will be at a protocol level, and we can propose through a Harmony improvement proposal, or HIP, a HIP proposal, to maybe do that. I think that might be prudent of us to start thinking about proposing that at the protocol layer, and then have this set up as a bounty, or have the Harmony engineering team take a look at this as a priority in terms of how to implement it safely.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's a great idea to get that proposal out and running. Thank you for asking. But before I let Bricktop move on, I was just talking about the delegations from other users to a validator. Should a validator wallet get compromised, the delegator would simply just undelegate from that particular wallet without the risk of losing any funds. Am I correct in that assumption?
First off, I might want to address the implications if that has happened. The things that enable, so the wallet address, the wallet used to set up the validator is just one part of the equation. It does an administrative, it allows the administrative actions to be done on it. For example, changing the levels of your commission fees, percentages. There's only a limited amount of actions that you can do. Rotating your BLS keys, which is important, which could mean that all of a sudden on the next epoch, the validator is not signing because the server thinks to use a certain set of BLS keys, while on-chain, it has been recognized that it's been rotated to a different set of BLS keys. So yeah, there would be, the worst thing that can happen to delegators is that they will not gain rewards on following epochs if the perpetrators we want to monkey around with the validator setting, that's what's going to happen to the chain, and also to the delegators. To the chain, it would mean that there's a little bit less of a signing power. This would not be noticed, hopefully, immediately by the node operators, and proper actions should be done. So yes, it could be really serious if the validators are not practicing safe practices in securing a wallet, and we should probably take this as a high priority amongst the validator DAO members.
Okay, thank you very much. I just thought it was an important thing to put delegators at ease, just so that they don't worry about their coins. But thank you so much. I'll let Bricktop take it from here.
Perfect. Another good question. So someone's asked if there was an exploit with private keys on the Chrome extension. Why was there a push for people to move those same wallets with private keys over onto MetaMask?
Yeah, for a few reasons. The Harmony Chrome extension wallet is no longer maintained, and MetaMask is a more actively maintained project. And on Harmony side, there are other wallets being developed and put into test. And there were, I understand, there were some plans to move to another type of wallet. But speaking of pushing people to MetaMask, there's also another reason which will be set in the report. So MetaMask, the Harmony Chrome wallet extension. So we found it is encrypting the password 300 times less strong than the MetaMask wallet, and I think that's a problem with the design and with the implementation in the first place. And this could have implications such as instead of having to intercept the private key in the memory by the hacker when they try to hack the wallet, they can simply steal the storage, which contains the encrypted private key on the computer, which is a lot easier than messing with the memory or causing the browser to execute arbitrary code. And because of that, the user would have a lot more exposure, a lot more risk in being hacked. We also found several other vulnerabilities of the Chrome extension wallet. They are, as I said before, they don't lead directly to any exploits. It's not like because of this exploit, somebody can just do this and get your private keys. Not like that, but we generally consider this just not a very good implementation, and that's part of the reason why there's a push to MetaMask.
Thank you for explaining that. And possibly a tricky question, definitely a technical one. A community member's asked if someone could possibly explain the 0-day hack on Chrome and possibly explain that.
Okay. Yeah, so 0-day is a fancy name. It just means somebody. So you have 0 days means the company or the team who is supposed to fix this problem has 0 day to react. So is because the people, so the hacks already happened. So there's literally zero amount of time to react. So you need to fix it as soon as possible. And so there are many categories of vulnerabilities that can be that can fall into 0 day. And but the most serious one, I think, half of the 16 0-day vulnerabilities last year of Chrome are are related to the attacker being able to execute arbitrary code or access certain part of the memories that they are not supposed to access. So when you and some of them can get around the sandbox. So sandbox means when you open the browser tab, you visit a website, and that website is supposed to be minding its own business, not be able to interact with other tabs or extensions that you have opened. And because these vulnerabilities, these websites not only being able to execute some native code, some being able to access, let's say, system settings, or they can also talk to other tabs or extensions. So that means they can use this hack to talk to the extension and maybe read the storage there, or maybe just monitor whether you are signing a transaction, and when you're signing one, and it tries to figure out where the private key is decrypted, used to sign the transaction, and then intercept it and send it to the attacker's web server. And so the way they execute this arbitrary code using these zero-day vulnerabilities, they vary. Most commonly, they are in the form of these complex functionalities of the browser, such as being able to read or edit a PDF. That's the number one reason, number one place where this zero-day arbitrary code execution vulnerability happens. So because of the thousands of different features offered in the PDF, some of them cause the technical name is called use after free. That means just there's a memory location. It is supposed to be empty, so you're supposed to be safe to using that memory location, but the hacker managed to use some overflow buffer and insert some program at a certain memory location. So when the browser executes certain program at that memory location, it executes the hacker's code instead of, say, the normal functionalities like reading the PDF or editing it. Other places such as watching a video. There are like thousands of different formats of video, different compression. So these or even audio. So these places are where the zero-day happens, and when it happens silently. The user would barely notice.
Just to add to that, when we mention Chrome Wallet, I mean, the Chrome Wallet is built on top of the Chromium base code, which several other browsers use, like including Opera, Brave, and Microsoft Edge. So when there is a zero-day issue, it could affect all those browsers. So how I think about it is just assume your browser not safe, and if you were using a hardware wallet, the key never leaks to the device. So if you have a compromised browser, it's you're still much safer than if you didn't have a hardware wallet.
Hey guys, just want to add something in there on the topic of browsers. In terms of updating, whenever your browser is prompting you to update it, please update it like as soon as possible. Don't wait until some ridiculous amount of time until it starts flashing at you. Just be mindful of that when that update prompt comes on in the top right of your Chrome or whatever browser you use.
Fantastic. And the next question I think we've already discussed and Jack mentioned. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jack. So if people notice kind of suspicious activity with anything related to their wallets, they're supposed to email security@harmony.one. Is that correct, Jack?
That's correct.
Fantastic. And so someone's mentioned, as we obviously found out, there was certain exploits people could take advantage of. Was that the reason why the Harmony Chrome extension wallet was sunsetted in the first place?
I can take this if you guys like. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
hey
welcome,
guys.
Daniel.
Hey guys. Sorry I joined a little bit late. We received this question, I think, on the last Twitter Spaces that I had joined last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. So there's actually a couple of reasons. When we announced the sunset of the Chrome extension wallet, yes, we were investigating thefts. The frequency of reports that were coming in was nowhere near what we have been seeing more recently, especially around the time the zero-day exploit announcement was released to the public. Around that time and since then, things have really started. We've started receiving way more reports since then. But rewind back for just a little bit. When we made that announcement to sunset it, there were a few reasons why. One, yes, we were investigating thefts. Two, we had to ask the question, like, do we have a dedicated team managing this, right? This is a wallet that is holding valuable assets. And it's got the Harmony brand on it. But do we have a dedicated team working on this? No, we don't. We have a dedicated team working on a new wallet. So because it's such a because it's a sensitive and important piece of software, and we're working on a brand new one, let's migrate off of that. Let's just tell everyone, we want to dedicate our resources to the one wallet instead of splitting our attention, splitting our time and efforts across two different wallets. And B, let's move everyone over temporarily. Let's say we suggest moving over to Metamask for the reasons that Aaron mentioned earlier about it being more secure and as a stopgap for the safety of the community. At that time, and even today, and again, sorry I joined late, so this might have been mentioned already, but at that time, and even today, we still have no concrete evidence that there's anything actually wrong with the Chrome extension wallet. But instead of playing ifs or maybe or taking any additional risk, we made that decision, just announce the sunset. Let's try to get people off of this. And yeah, so those are the reasons why. Those are the main reasons why.
I think one interesting point is, I use the wallet myself, and the only reason I use the Chrome wallet is the Harmony Chrome wallet is just a staking. But to my understanding, MetaMask now supports it. So, and most of the developers I've seen on Harmony integrate directly to MetaMask just because the API is more readily available and there's more Samco code available. So what I've seen is most of the developer already develop for MetaMask anyways.
Exactly. Yeah, that was one of the primary reasons for pointing towards MetaMask. The reasons that I mentioned are why we decided to sunset in the first place, but then to take that a step further, like Quoq just mentioned, the reason for MetaMask itself is interoperability and adoption, right? MetaMask is one of the most widely used wallets out there in all communities. So it just made sense to direct people there with a very strong emphasis. And we've been saying this a lot more lately, simply because of the number of reports that we're seeing, not just on Harmony, but if you look up simply MetaMask hack or wallet hack, you'll see a lot of examples of wallet hacks that happen every day, every week. So if you can. If anyone's listening to this and you have the ability to grab a hardware wallet, please do. Grab a hardware wallet and use that. It's simply the most secure way to store your assets.
Yeah, to add to that, I think I always want to do the right thing, and the right thing to do with wallets is just recommend people use the best possible wallet that we all feel like is more secure than alternative options. And it turns out the MetaMask is more secure, especially from the perspective of the encryption on local storage and other aspects and like support and more examined and all that. So MetaMask turned out to be more secure at this time than the Chrome extension wallet. And we already saw problems with the Chrome extension wallet. So the responsible thing to do, I think, even from an external point of view, for myself, is tell people let's stop using the less secure wallet and use a more secure wallet. And if there are better options come out later, use a better one. And in the meantime, even the Chrome extension wallet has a Harmony brand on it. The MetaMask wallet doesn't. It is still the right thing to do to tell people use a better one for now. And don't wait until a different wallet has Harmony brand on it, and then wait until it's ready. So don't wait until that time to announce. To recommend to tell people about it, to tell people as soon as possible, as fast as we figure out something, as soon as we figure out what's the best action to do, to take to handle the situation.
I think one other thing, just for some people that might not be familiar with cold wallets, if you start looking into them, best piece of advice I can give is to not price shop, but buy directly from the source. Because if you buy it from a third party, it very well may be compromised from the moment it gets to your door.
And also, MetaMask has better support the hardware wallet. Nano Ledger, Nano S, and Nano X are both supported. I don't think the Chrome extension wallet support Nano S. That's also one of the main reasons. And there are a bunch of other options for hardware wallet on MetaMask as well.
Yeah, I thought it was good advice on the verifying the supply chain. Stick with the name brands. Don't like Ledger and Trezor, or you go with the commercial cold wallets.
Yeah, I completely agree, guys. Just to let everyone know, if you don't have a hardware wallet, you can keep all your NFTs in those wallets as well. It's the same as a usual wallet, but you just don't have your private keys, and you have to authorize transactions, physically whilst you're doing them. So, really interesting question here. So, someone's asked, is there any way to incorporate MetaMask transactions into our Explorer? Are there any kind of plans to look into this when we're updating our Explorer soon? They've mentioned staking and unstaking actions done with MetaMask in conjunction with the staking portal do not show in Explorer. This is needed info when helping track down possible theft. So they're wondering if that can start showing with any updates.
I think what you're alluding to is the MetaMask transactions. Staking are a different transaction, and they need to be incorporated into Explorer. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't think any of us work on the Explorer, but from what I read about the development progress, they are adding fixing a bunch of high priority issues with the Explorer. MetaMask transactions, when you do staking via MetaMask, the smart contract transaction rather than the native commands in native RPC codes, as in the case of the way that Chrome extension wallet handles it, the deprecated one. And I think sooner or later they will unify the. So when you do staking over MetaMask, the staking you can still see the event in the log section. It's just not presented in user-friendly way. It's all binary data presented in hex format. So all you need to do is to decode it and make it easier and more friendly for people to read. And I'm sure they will be working on that sooner or later.
Right. There are, don't mind if I chime in, there are multiple efforts going on. The Harmony engineering team has been staffed up quite a bit on the full stack engineering front. So like Aaron mentioned, there are continuous improvement, and you may also have hinted there earlier. Also, there are 3 separate Explorer options that we're looking at. There are proposals coming in, and then we're reviewing them. They are worthwhile investments. We just want to make sure that we pick we are prudent and pick the right initiative to build out something for the long term. And there's even talks about setting up an Explorer DAO. This will help direct and through governance and direct which direction to go to, what features to add to the Explorer, whether it should just be a browser or a full fledged desktop app with mobile and also with available on the browser. And we're also one of the 3 that we're working with is a hardcore OG in the Ethereum space, and we've been talking to them right now. So a lot of information are already available on the Harmony.1 forum, so you could find some of them there.
Thank you. And someone asked, with the recent kind of exploits, were other blockchains, if anyone's aware, affected by the same security issues?
Yeah, I can speak to this a little. So I was involved with investigating the Chrome extension and what kind of exploits targeting Harmony. We came across several malware, specifically targeting Windows. These malware, after disassemble the code, which is essentially reading some of the static configuration in the malware. They target dozens of Chrome extension wallets of all kind, including Metamask, including ours and many other wallets, well-known wallets. They just target as many one, to put it that way. They also target local command line codes. They also target password storage, like 1Password or a similar extension like that, because if they can crack your master password, they can access many other places. So it seems like pretty common that they're targeting the local storage, and it seems like they know they have a plan for that. So in the black hat space, I know a few cybersecurity people in the field. There's something called a rainbow table. So if they have your hash, if they have your hash password from your local storage, obviously longer passwords harder to crack, but with these rainbow table, they're essentially it's a big table, lookup table from hashes to password. So they're not trying to crack from password to hash, right? To get that match. Having that hash table, these things are in the public ones are in the gigabytes. They can crack 10 character password pretty easily, because that password is already pre-mapped. Privately, among the hackers, the underground community, they have a rainbow way bigger. rainbow table. So that's and I've seen that as a common denominator for a lot of these attempt at least wallet hacks. Then on the other end, there's just a series of the non-wallet hacks are just mostly scams or direct vulnerability in the smart contract, which we don't deal with much. But as a regular user, just so you know, a lot of whenever you swap your coin, especially with new swap pages that you're not familiar with, be aware of that, because they usually approve for unlimited amount, and if they decide to pull the rug and drain your account, they already have the permission to do it. So going back to rotating keys, that's rotating key actually help freshen your approval list, your list of approved transactions. Yeah.
Thank you, Quoq. And yeah, you raised some interesting points there. So, I mean, one question I had personally is, obviously, what we don't really think about too often is just generally protecting yourself offline and having good virus checks for devices that you're using. Could using a decent kind of malware checker on your PC, for example, actually help against being hacked on blockchain? And if so, would you have any recommendations on what people could possibly use to protect themselves?
Yeah, that is actually a good follow-up question. I want to kind of continue expand on. I may be considered like an extremist when it comes to security. I'm not even on a Windows machine, and I also use hardware. If you're putting millions or tens of thousands of dollars on a software wallet, and you're betting that your malware, your antivirus checker, able to detect that one virus or that one malware, when targeting your wallet, I wouldn't bet on that, because you would think the attacker is smarter in that they ran an antivirus against their own virus and figured that it won't be detected. So I think the best security practice is pretend that you don't even have a private key, and the best way to do that is with a hardware wallet. Software wallet, it's okay for a smaller amount of money. Or what you can do is like a Genosis wallet, for example, like a smart wallet, where you can protect with other keys, with multiple keys. But again, it's still going to take as much time as a hardware wallet to use.
Thank you, Quoq. And that actually sorry, Aaron.
Yes, just to add to the issue of antivirus and firewall. I guess I would say they're not effective in preventing hacks specifically targeted to crypto, because these hacks are usually like developed from scratch, already been put in production and widespread before the antivirus company even pay attention to them, and by the time it's already too late. One thing that could be effective is a special kind of firewall that manages and notify you about the outgoing connections. So whatever ways the hacker wants to steal your private key, they need to send the private key to their server. And the way this special category firewall works is when it shows you all the outgoing connections, and you can say, I manually approve every one of them, or you can say, oh, just give me a report at the end of the day or something. And if you notice anything suspicious, you can just deny the connection. Or when you notice the connection already made, maybe it's the time to migrate your asset and use a new wallet. So on Mac, there's a Little Snitch. I find it pretty good, and it's been used by a lot of people. I think over 6-7 years, maybe even longer. On Windows, I'm not sure. But this kind of tool is not that easy to use. I'm not sure if it's the best option for people who are not very technical. But these are one of the options. But I guess the core message, like Quoq said, is don't rely on antivirus or standard firewalls. The fact that these say the computer is clean doesn't really mean the crypto is safe.
Fantastic. And another question that leads on, I know Quoq just mentioned this, but for anyone that doesn't know what a Genosis multi-sig wallet is, can someone just explain how that works?
A multi-sig wallet is a smart contract wallet that requires multiple owners to manage the wallet. And usually you can set the number of owner approval to execute a transaction equal to, say, at least half of the number of owners. And the concept owner here is just abstract, just another wallet which is listed as an owner to this wallet. So you can create multiple wallets as owners by yourself, obviously. For example, you can have one on your computers, on your laptops, on your phone, or on some other devices. So you can act as multiple owners. And so all your devices can act as an owner. So when you want to do a transaction, of course, you need, say you have 4 devices, you need 2 devices to approve a transaction. So you need at least, say, your phone and your desktop, or your phone or your laptop. And when the attacker wants to steal your money, they also need to compromise 2 devices at least in order to steal your money. So it is way harder for them to compromise 2 devices of the same person at the same time. And another thing you can do with multi-sig wallet is you can swap in and out owners easily. Let's say you just don't want to use a hardware wallet for some reason, and you on your computer you decided, okay, I want to create a new MetaMask account from scratch. And after the old one is already been used for 6 months, so instead of migrating all your assets and do the complicated stuff, if you had your assets stored in this multi-sig wallet, what you can do is simply remove the old MetaMask account as owner to this multi-sig, and then add the new one, which you just created, to the multi-sig. So the assets are still in the same wallet, but it's just the owner which has changed. And you can also say you can have your mom or some other trusted people to create multiple wallets and list them as owners as well if you are not entirely confident about yourself. So that's how multi-sig wallets function. It's a great tool for managing DAO, but it can also be a great tool for managing a significant sum of personal asset. There's a deployment on Harmony. That's multisig.harmony.1. Somebody can post a link later, I think.
Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, anyone that's involved with DAOs will understand how safe a multi-sig is, because we struggle to get the owners to actually sign the transactions, and then we're left a long time waiting for transactions to happen usually. So leading on to the next question, someone's asked, if I use the Harmony extension wallet on other browsers such as Edge, Firefox, or Brave instead of Chrome, could my keys still be compromised?
I can speak to that just briefly. So as Quoq mentioned earlier, a lot of these other browsers are based on open source Chromium code. So if Google finds a 0-day exploit on the Chrome browser, then it might have just as well trickle down to the other browsers that use the same code base. So don't assume that your hot wallet, the Harmony Chrome extension wallet, or any other wallet's private key is secure from getting hacked. The only really sure way is to, again, sorry we've been badgering this, but hardware wallets are the securest form of private key storage.
Perfect. And someone's asked, could mobile wallets such as Blitz, Frontier, and Garda be affected in any way?
I can't speak to the actual implementation, but I have reviewed the Metamask open source wallet, a mobile wallet, and just generally my understanding of mobile wallets, since I've actually done that for a long time. Mobile wallet are much more secure just because the nature of the operating system is more restrictive of the apps, such as isolations. And it also has a form of like TPM, which is a trusted security module, which helps you with storing the data safely. So even if someone steals the phone, um, the flash or the storage would be encrypted, so they can't read that, even if they plug some electronics into it. And it's also secured by metrics. You have also remote swipe. You also have security password policy, where if you enter the password too many times, then it'll lock you out of the device. Conversely, if someone stole your local storage, they have that hash. They can brute force that for months, for years, if they have to, and it's there is no penalty on that. So there's a big distinction between desktop wallet and mobile wallet in terms of security, and I would say mobile wallet is significantly safer. And again, it's safe as long as you don't copy and paste that seed phrase to any insecure places like your desktop or Notepad, or put in your Dropbox or email yourself. So just keep that in mind.
Thank you. And this question's regarding One Wallet. So someone's asked, if you back up your One Wallet with iCloud, wouldn't that be at risk if your iCloud got hacked?
I can speak to this just briefly as well. So there has been MetaMask lately has put out an article advising their users not to back up their MetaMask application on Mac to iCloud, because there has been a vulnerability. There's a vulnerability that's been found that can leak sensitive information, and that allows your exposure of your private key. So, as just a good security stance, I would not suggest to back up your stuff like this, like wallets and stuff, into iCloud, because that's also vulnerable as well.
Okay, perfect. And are there any plans for One Wallet to integrate hardware wallets in the future?
From the course perspective, I have no plan to support Ledger or the hardware wallets, the ones that we usually know of. So I have some designs early on supporting YubiKey, which is a lot more common among companies to as an authorization tool for someone to access certain devices, like for example Google or some other companies you can often see people carrying a USB dongle around, and they are the YubiKey. And now there's a Bluetooth version, also a easier to carry version, a very small USB-based device that can act as a piece of hardware that to authorize certain transactions. So there are some plans to support that, but they are not the priority. And so this is with respect to the core and the web edition. For other implementations, I can't speak to that. And it's really up to them to decide what to support and not to support.
Thank you, Aaron. And in a moment, we will be opening the floor to questions from any community members below. If you do want to ask any of our speakers anything today, then please request a mic and we will invite you up. In the meantime, whilst we wait for a few questions, if any of the speakers have anything that they wanted to say to the community that we haven't perhaps spoken about yet, feel free to speak now if you wish.
Real quick, we got a message from Jose. He had a question. He asked if a ledger user that was staking at staking.harmony.one also connected their ledger to the Chrome extension to make transferred. Did or does this present any security concerns for the ledger user? Side note, this was recently required when the staking site broke for ledger users, and the only way to transfer was to use this method. Thanks.
We've seen a lot of cases. We've gone through a lot of cases, and we did not see a single case involving a Ledger wallet and a Harmony wallet. So, and just by deduction, the keys in the Ledger is never. It always stays on the device. So, so the wallet on the desktop really is irrelevant. Which wallet they use on the desktop is irrelevant.
Right. But if in the case that you've imported your mnemonics using like typing in the 24 word key phrase into the Chrome wallet extension on Metamask, that means you have imported that over into as a software wallet. So always, be prudent, especially if it's consider a cold wallet. Once you transfer your mnemonics over to a browser extension, it becomes a hot wallet. And you can basically throw away your ledger at that point because you just exposed it that one time, and it could be compromised from then onwards. So just be very prudent about not doing that. That's my 2 cents. Thanks.
Thank you. Sorry, Jose. I see that you requested the mic. I didn't mean to steal your thunder. Did you have anything else to ask?
No, thank you. That was very helpful.
Thank you, Jose. And just again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to request a mic. I'll just ask Daniel whilst we have a moment. Daniel, can you just tell the community about the Harmony? Is it Harmony newsletter that we're releasing? I believe it was today.
Yeah. Actually, while you guys are talking, we're putting in some last minute efforts to publish the one weekly newsletter. But we're also waiting for the thumbnail preview to use on YouTube for our first one weekly video. So we have about a 10-minute video that we're releasing on YouTube in the next couple of hours. Again, it's our first edition of the one weekly video series. A really talented videographer from the community who goes by, I think I actually spotted him here. There he is, Logan or Loge. You'll see him with his skull face profile picture there. So Loj is working with us very closely on the One Weekly video series, and Loj is extremely talented, very easy to work with, and basically will be the One Weekly, or rather the face of One Weekly. So every Friday we're looking to drop a new episode, and we're going to be covering pretty much the same like categories of information. And that's like general updates about Harmony. We're going to be talking. We'll have what's called the technical corner, and the technical corner will go into technical details on what the team is working on, as well as some Q&A from specific devs or team members. Another segment will be Inside Scoop. So that's where we try to get some information or like sneak peeks from the team, from our launches, from our projects that might not be very easily available or available at all. Of course, that content in that segment is subject to change, right? But yeah, so that's another segment. There's a couple of others I forget off the top of my head. I don't have it in front of me, but we're releasing it today, so it'll be under the Harmony Protocol YouTube channel, and it's in response to the community sentiment report. The community made it very clear to us that we need to communicate more. So this is one of our answers to that concern. The One Weekly newsletter combined with the One Weekly weekly video series on YouTube. We have other efforts that are underway. We haven't really said much about some other plans that we have for getting additional information out there. It's pretty new, but one other thing that I'm working on is, it's with another community member who goes by Globy. Some of you may have heard of him, but Globy and I will be working real close together in. So the One Weekly is really for updates about the team, updates about our projects, and so on. It won't really go into too much detail about our ecosystem partners, about the projects that are on the Harmony blockchain. So that's another area that I want to focus on, is speaking with the projects that are on our chain, understanding what their latest accomplishments are, and then helping them co-market that and helping them put a story out there to not just our community, but the crypto community as a whole, and kind of delivering a message of, this is who's on Harmony. These are the teams that are on Harmony. These are their success stories, which is essentially a success story for Harmony itself as well. So yeah, increasing co-marketing with our ecosystem teams is the next hurdle that I am looking to leap over. But more on that soon.
Hey, just if I can squeeze in, just since we're on the topic of security, and just to kind of stress the importance of security, like holistically, and being careful with your credentials you use. I think it's important that users don't just leave their passwords on plain text on their computer and just random folders. Something that really works well for me is using a password manager like KeePassXC, where personally for me it's on an encrypted SD card. It's just like a vault where I keep all my passwords and seed phrases. I have multiple copies of this vault in different locations, as well as Bitwarden or 1Password that are cloud hosted, but your master key for those vaults is what encrypts and decrypts everything on your end, and everything in the cloud is encrypted and it cannot be read by anyone. So just, if you don't have good security hygiene, this is something that you should look into. Using a password vault, password manager type software is highly recommended. Not just for Harmony, for everything else that because passwords are so important these days.
And if I could piggyback on that, kind of going back to security, but also to the One Weekly, what viewers of the first edition of One Weekly video on YouTube will notice that it's more geared towards security. So this week we're really focusing on security at the One Weekly newsletter and the One Weekly video. Loj goes into more detail. I think around the 4-minute, 5-minute mark. So about 50% of the video is focused on wallet security, best practices, and so on. The week after that, of course, it's going to change, and it'll be more varied in what we offer to the community in terms of content. But security is a focus right now.
Daniel, I'm really looking forward to receiving a finder's fee. I know you knew Loj for some time. But I will accept Harmony merch or T-shirts. Anything
you did bring his name up on Telegram a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, like Loj and I actually worked together very briefly last year, back when I was moderating the subreddit as Rock the Blockchain. I was working with the our cryptocurrency subreddit moderators for months, literally for months, trying to get an AMA on their subreddit, because they had like, at the time there was like 4.5 million members. So really wanted to get the team to have an AMA there, and we finally did. And like 24 hours before the AMA, or 48 hours before the AMA, we're like, wait a second, we don't really have like any graphics to embed. We don't have any like animated GIFs to embed that, without anyone having to click a button, shows things like 2-second finality or low fees, blah, blah, blah. So I went to Twitter. I'm like, hey, can anyone help us here? And Loj just pops up saying, yep, got it, on it. And within a day, like the very next morning, he produced this video demonstrating 2-second finality and low fees. And I think it was Viper Swap maybe at the time. And it was real good quality. At that moment, I knew that Loj was a pro. And someone that I certainly want to work with. So Bricktop, again, thanks for bringing his name up in the chat when you did. It was perfect timing, and it really worked out. I mean, I hope that everyone on this space watches the video, because it's good quality. It's pretty high quality, and we put a lot of time and effort into it. And I hope that you all enjoy it. Not just this one, but other episodes moving forward as well.
I am super excited to see these videos and to catch a One Weekly updates. One thing that I will say for anyone that hasn't seen Loj's videos, it is super high quality. Like it looks like laser quality rather than kind of 4K. And Loj has a really great presence that I really think kind of represents the kind of chilled out Harmony kind of vibe that we have going on. So super excited to see these videos. One thing I will say, guys, if you manage to catch these videos and to catch these updates, it's one thing the team's spending a lot of time putting effort into doing these things, but it is really great if you guys can just retweet it. It's obviously free to retweet, but so many more people will see this content. They're going to be putting a lot more effort into finding more content to share, talking about relevant matters. But please just take a few seconds to share that. We will be sharing it from our page. Please do the same also. And I think we have Strong Minds here. You have a question?
No, I did, but I don't anymore. There may be a question from Telegram coming. somebody just asked me how they could ask questions. So I'm waiting on that. But just heads up too, when it comes to the hardware wallets, if nobody knows, the Ledger Nano S Plus just got released like 2 weeks ago, and it holds 100 crypto apps, NFTs, and the whole nine. So if you have a Ledger and you've taken your private key and did it once, and you've listened to this broadcast, you should burn it with fire and go buy a new one. So try out the S Plus. I get nothing for plugging this. I'm about to buy one myself, but it's about time that thing has more than room for 3 apps. It's got 100 apps can fit.
Hey, Jose here. Can I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
Yeah, just to kind of, for the benefit of the Ledger users who did interact with the Chrome extension, I just want to make sure the core team can maybe confirm what I think they said. There's 2 ways to interact with a Ledger on the old Chrome extension. One was to just connect your Ledger hardware device. The other one was to insert your seed phrase into the Chrome extension. Inserting the seed phrase results in a compromised wallet potentially, and just interacting is no security concern. Is that accurate?
The second part of importing, do not do it. It was just a word of caution that you should not ever import anywhere, not even Metamask or Harmony Wallet. You should use it as a hardware connected, so your keys are never exposed to your desktop. Just want to make that clear.
So the old Chrome extension did have the option of interacting with the wallet without doing that. I'm just making sure my memory is right.
Yeah, yes, the Chrome extension had a way to link it, very similar to the way Metamask does.
All right, good deal. Thank you.
And Endgame Association. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate you all hosting the space, and I appreciate the information I'm even gotten, because I use a hard ledger myself, but just even got me thinking about protecting my assets differently. But I did have a question, because we represent a few different organizations in the Web3 space, but we were getting ready to submit our first proposal to Harmony, and we had met Harmony out at ETH Denver and gotten some good feedback. But as I've been also scrolling through some other proposals, I've just noticed kind of things that are more likely to be approved, I should say, if they're written out really clear, etc. And I've noticed things that haven't gotten a lot of support, or that get, a few different revisions, or, they may even say these are outside of the guidelines. So I just wanted to, find out exactly what would be outside of guidelines. And then in terms of, what helps get proposals approved, I just wanted to make sure I got as much alpha there as possible, because we really wanted to, get the support from the Harmony community.
I can chime in on this, and maybe Daniel can too. Yes, you're right. As long as the proposal is written really, really clearly, and that's one prerequisite, so that the community can understand what the proposal is all about. There are a lot of other factors around whether or not it's a fit for the Harmony ecosystem. As time goes by, the decision of what that fit should be more and more decentralized, and shouldn't rely on the Harmony team to make that decision. At this time, I think we just have to use what we got, and sometimes it's about timing. Is it too early for the Harmony community? Is it highly unlikely that this will gain adoption? Like maybe there are multi-year initiatives around, say, some technology like zero knowledge proof that may need investments now, in order to gain fruition later. So then yes, let's go with the ZK DAO. So there are a lot of other factors other than the structure of how it needs to be put in. And then to address your other concern about or question about, like, hey, if you've met the team and described the team, is it more likely that it was going to be approved? Question is yes and no. Yes, in the case that usually during those conversations, a lot of things are cleared up in terms of how to propose or whether this proposal makes sense. So those questions are sort of sorted out up front. So that helps the team understand what's important for the community and for Harmony in general. And hence, the end result that folks usually see is like, oh, they met the team in real life, then they get it approved. That's not the case. There's a lot of things that are discussed and a lot of teams that we didn't approve. People just don't see it.
I've seen that too. I've seen a couple people actually say that on Reddit. I'm a Reddit. My original platform of choice was Dig back in the day, way back in the day, and then when the whole Dig collapse happened, I went to Reddit. So I'm just naturally, I just go to Reddit more than any other. So on Reddit, I've seen people mention that in comments, like, oh, this so and so project met with Harmony, so of course they got a grant. It's like, well, yes, but also there's a bunch of projects that did not get a grant. I cannot count how many project teams I've met at ETH Denver, who were looking for grants or who wanted to be part of Project X. There's the one of the first projects that walked up to me and a couple of other coworkers was this one. I'm not going to say their name, but they're basically a VR NFT gallery, right? So they brought up their Oculus Quest 2, put it on. You can see their NFTs. You can walk through the gallery and so on. It was nice, but it wasn't exactly something that we needed. They had a grant. We did not approve it. I mean, it's yes, we do meet projects or teams whose projects get approved, but we also meet many teams whose proposals and projects do not get approved. So I just wanted to make sure that was very clear.
No, and I understood that, and I appreciate, even your responses. I guess just more so what I wanted to, clear up would be like, and the first answer was almost answered, but it was like, what would constitute outside of guidelines? Like, just so it's very clear, like what types of things that you will or won't fund. Because, from what I've seen, just even looking at other templates, like one that has recently been approved, and they're here also in Denver, Lighted Up DAO, and met with the guys, and they're a really cool team. But again, looking through their grant, I saw that they laid out things pretty clear. It was very operational, equipment based, and onboarding. And so I just wanted to make sure that when it came to objectives and things that would help benefit the Harmony community, that we were able to meet those and deliver those, but also anticipate those, just so that way we could, make sure that we're delivering exactly what value could be added to the space, if that makes sense. So just wanted to clarify on, again, guidelines, just long story short.
Before Stakery do turn, let me try to answer this. The guidelines were written back in September and maybe August, before it was published on announced and published on September 9th. So we will be raising the bar every time that we want to revisit this, and we're in the process of rewriting the application guidelines. There are some metrics that are not clear or we get questions a lot on, so we're going to try to answer that. So keep an eye out. It should be out within a couple of weeks.
Okay, that helps. And then I guess that leads me to my next question about timeline. Um, would now be a good time to submit, or should we wait until the guidelines have been revised, or is now still a good time to submit a proposal?
I wouldn't hold back on submitting a proposal. So yeah, anytime is good.
Thank you.
And just one thing I'd say, just from a community perspective, Endgame, one thing that you can always do is just reach out on talk.harmony1 and speak to the community like about your plans, just to kind of raise awareness about that and get people talking about it, maybe asking some questions, before you actually submit the proposal. One thing that I've always noticed is that a lot of proposals that I see popping up on Talk come out of nowhere and we've never heard of them before. So it's always good when people recognize the people, submitting proposals. And Talk.Harmony is a great place to be able to kind of let people know that you exist and maybe drum up some interest around your kind of project. So maybe that might help a bit as well. But best of luck. Hope it all works out and hopefully see you around soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Mr. Steaky, thanks for your patience.
Yeah, thanks and welcome. I think this question goes specific to crypto Quoq. You was mentioned before this rainbow table, and I was wondering if this rainbow table contains like an IP lookup, and if someone goes to a page, for example, just as a huge example, that you have an IP lookup and this person's go to the page, you can see what Chrome version he's using, and so you could maybe directly use the exploit over this rainbow table, or?
Just to understand your question clearly, you're asking if the rainbow table maps the IP to the browser version?
Yep, exactly. Because I was thinking, it's every time when this happens, it's quite fast. So it looks like people who don't update Chrome in time, that it already like tracked.
So the rainbow table is strictly around password hashing, pre-hashing password, and essentially creating a very large database to map password back to the hash and compare that whether that hash is the right password to unlock to unlocked. So the nature of is a lot of these wallets are protected by by simply just the password. So it's just an encrypted form of your private key, which once the attacker has a hold of that, there is essentially no penalty to keep brute forcing that password, and the rainbow method is simply a much faster way to do that. And within the black hat community, they have an even larger, which I cannot verify, but I assume they're much larger, as my friend said, in the terabytes of size, and they just they essentially trade that among themselves. So that's why password is not the end all be all. But to address your question about the browser, I think that's an interesting point. I think a lot of, especially pretty much all of us, always trying to explore new dApps and new apps, and I think there's a lot of if the attacker wants to know, it's pretty easy. They just give you a link, you visit that link, and they have a log on your user agent and know what browser you're running.
And if they have access to like a larger database, let's say I'm an admin, for example, in DeFi Kingdom, and I can see all the transaction coming through. Yeah, there's quite a lot of information there on Harmony users.
Yep.
Yep.
Just a right quick, because what I suggest always, because what I hear before from the people that get hacked, that they mostly have their PC like 24/7 open, and I think this is the huge exploit, that you don't update your Chrome because you leave it 24 open, and if you have already interacted with any page that maybe grabs malicious your IP and your Chrome version, they can easily use those exploits, like the last time when it was the JavaScript exploit.
Yes, I think that's a very good point.
Okay.
Kyle?
Yeah, I know that the team has to leave here soon, so I just wanted to get this quick question in for Fortune, who's in the crowd but couldn't request the mic. Regarding the ledger, is it best to use the Harmony app or Ethereum Metamask? He asked from a security perspective and support, as he's noticed the Harmony app is still in beta.
It doesn't really make a lot of difference, but if you use MetaMask to interact with ledgers, that's totally fine. And I think MetaMask supports more. So on MetaMask, you can switch to any network you want. On Ledger app, as a native app, you couldn't. So I personally use MetaMask when I interact with Ledger. I find the native app somewhat also more user-friendly, less powerful, less functional.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I guess that's a good time to wrap it up. So I just wanted to thank all the speakers today for taking time out of the days again. You know, I will just say, obviously, Harmony's been making a big push to be more transparent with the community and kind of address concerns. So it's really great when people take time out and come and speak to the community and let them know everything that's going on, which we really appreciate you coming today, guys. You've given us some really incredible insight into kind of security, so we really, really appreciate that. Just before everyone leaves, Harmonious Dude will be going through the updates for the DAO now. But yes, thank you so much to all the speakers that came up today, and I'll pass things back over to Harmonious Dude now to wrap up the AMA. Thanks, guys.
Yes, I can't thank you all enough. This whole string of Twitter Spaces that the core team has taken a part of has just been so helpful to the community, the DAO, everyone involved, and can't express our gratitude enough, for sure. I just wanted to give a quick rundown of some things going on with the community DAO before we get out. I'll start all the way from the right on the shared tweets above. Every Monday, we have opened up our governor meetings and formed them as an open town hall discussion, and they take place in our Discord server every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern. I believe that's 7 p.m. UTC. All are welcome to join and participate. So please, if you look all the way to the left up top, it has a link to our Discord. It's starting to pick up there a little bit. So if you want to stay up to date with the DAO, please go there. Also, we've recently compiled a questionnaire, which will help us to gain insight from our community, which includes about you, participation, news and votings, and feedback and suggestions. Just takes a minute to fill out, but could be really helpful for the DAO. So if you find that tweeted above, please take a moment to fill that out. Every Wednesday, we've kind of made a push to have more and more events open to the public and help in the operation of the DAO. So every Wednesday we have an open work group in the Crypto Arcade, and that's at cryptoarcade.1/harmony, and that's the Harmony office there. And every time we go in there, we have one or two topics that we're trying to get work accomplished on, and we welcome input from the community. It's been pretty great the last couple of weeks. We've gotten about 15-20 people in there, and we really appreciate that. It's kind of like the town hall, except a little bit more focused on specific workable items. Also, I mentioned the recent week's Twitter Spaces with core team members. Last week we had Give and Leo on. They did a great job, and it's a worthwhile conversation to listen to. So if you enjoyed this one, please check that one out. The link is above. As well as 2 weeks ago when we had RJ, Jack again, and Daniel. That conversation can also be found above or in our profile if you need to search for it. And then Tim, yes.
And there's a really great chance that next week will be Sam and a few of us probably concerning the DAO sentiment for the I think the last of the 3 big AMAs with the core team.
Absolutely, definitely next week, talking all subjects DAO to reverse community sentiment, or to address community sentiment and to maybe address some misconceptions and things of that nature. So yeah, be sure to tune in next week. Also, if you scroll over, the Harmony Protocol team will be connecting with thousands of developers, users, creators, and market makers at ETH Amsterdam from April 22nd through the 24th. So if you are in Amsterdam, be sure to check out that event, or in the Amsterdam area. Also, there's a Harmony community calendar that you can subscribe to above that links to your Google account so that you can be kept up to date to Twitter Spaces like this, things within the CDAO, other events within the community. We try and get as much added to that calendar as we can. So subscribe to that. And also, if you have an event going on Harmony related, please let us know and we'll get it added. And that about wraps it up. Wanted again to take the time to thank our speakers, Jack, Aaron, Quoq, Elias, Daniel. You guys have been great. Thank you so much for coming today and hopefully helping out our community a little bit. And that's about all I have to say. And thank you all for joining.
Thanks
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone. Thank you.